The Mathematical Voice Edition. When the Math Writes the Bible. Dallas James Hearts2Fathers Publishing. February 27, 2026. What if you could take an entire Bible, 32,000 verses, run it through a statistical engine, and let the mathematics tell you what the text is actually about? Not what a theologian thinks it's about. Not what a denomination claims. Not what an AI model was trained to generate. What the numbers say. That's what the Mathematical Voice Edition is. And today I want to walk you through exactly how it works, because the method matters more than the result. If the method is sound, the result speaks for itself. Here's the core claim. 4 statistical markers survived rigorous false discovery rate correction at the 5% level across the founding life force experiment. Those 4 markers, the Dominion Triad, covenant keeping, priesthood, and sacred alignment, are the only voices allowed to reshape the text. Not my preferences. Not my theology. The math. Let me break these down, because each one earned its place through the numbers, not through my choosing. First, the Dominion Triad. This scored at 9.79 sigma. For context, anything above 3 sigma is considered significant in most fields. 9.79 is off the charts. This marker fires when 3 themes converge in the same neighborhood: identity, inheritance, and priesthood. Who you are, what was given to you, and how you serve. That convergence is the loudest signal in the entire corpus. Second, covenant keeping. 2.62 sigma. This is about faithfulness, oath-keeping, covenant loyalty. When the mathematics detects this marker in a verse's neighborhood, the language shifts toward fidelity and promise. Third, priesthood. 2.53 sigma. Consecration. Mediation. Sacrificial service. The priestly vocabulary is not something I injected, it's what the statistical neighborhood analysis surfaces. Fourth, sacred alignment. Positive polarity. 2.40 sigma. This measures whether a verse sits in alignment with the overall sacred direction of the text. Positive means it's moving with the grain. Negative means it's moving against it. Those are the only 4 voices. Everything in the Mathematical Voice Edition traces back to one or more of them. Nothing else gets in. Now, here's the engineering problem. Those 4 FDR markers directly touch about 24% of the corpus, roughly 7,800 verses. That's Tier 1. These verses have the strongest mathematical signal, and their neighborhoods are drawn directly from the FDR-surviving markers. But what about the other 76%? That's where the 3-tier system comes in. Tier 2 covers about 51% of the corpus, over 16,000 verses. These carry secondary markers: identity alone, inheritance alone, governance, temporality. They didn't survive FDR correction on their own, but they still carry real statistical weight. The neighborhoods they form are broader, drawing from the wider marker profiles. Tier 3 handles the remaining 25%, roughly 8,000 verses. These are positionally contextual. They carry no markers of their own, but they sit near verses that do. The nearest FDR signaled verse radiates its covenant priestly vocabulary into the unmarked passage, the way a lit lamp illuminates the objects around it. The result: 100% coverage. Every verse in the corpus gets touched by the mathematical voice, but the strength and directness of that touch is proportional to the statistical evidence. Let me show you what this sounds like. I'll read you the original UTV text, then the mathematical voice rendering, so you can hear the difference. Genesis, verse 1. The UTV reads, "In a beginning Elohim created the visible universe." Clean. Simple. Unmarked. This is a Tier 2 verse. It carries a temporality marker but no FDR signal. The mathematical voice reads, "In the first of days, Elohim brought forth the visible universe, separating what was from what would be, the daybreak of all that is." Hear the difference. The creation day temporality markers from the neighboring verses have infused this primordial act with the rhythmic separations that follow it. Day from night. Waters from waters. The math colored the language with the cadence its neighborhood carries. Now listen to a Tier 1 verse, full FDR signal. This is from the Book of Enoch, verse 1603. The UTV reads, "And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of Majesty and the King of the ages, and lo, the watchers called me, Enoch the scribe." The mathematical voice reads, "And I, Enoch, consecrated scribe of the covenant, was blessing the Lord of Majesty and the King of the ages, and lo, the watchers summoned me as one who keeps the record of faithfulness." That's a quad signal verse, all 4 FDR markers firing. Maximum mathematical weight. Every FDR theme is woven in: Enoch's identity as consecrated scribe of the covenant, the concept of keeping the record of faithfulness. Those words emerged from the statistical neighborhood, not from my editorial preference. One more. Isaiah, verse 11:4-17. The UTV reads, "O sinful nation, a people laden with depravity, a seed of wickedness." The mathematical voice reads, "O nation that has broken covenant, a people weighed down with the burden of profanation, a seed that squandered its inheritance." This is an FDR signaled verse with negative polarity. The Dominion Triad is inverted. Identity, inheritance, priesthood, they all appear as failures. The math doesn't just add beauty. It adds accountability. Now I know someone is going to ask, isn't this just a paraphrase? Aren't you just choosing prettier words? No. And here's why. The selection process is deterministic. Every verse already has its marker profile computed. The SHIELD Protocol 10.3 assigns those markers based on statistical co-occurrence patterns across the entire corpus. I don't pick which markers a verse gets. The math does. The neighborhood selection is governed. When multiple candidate neighbors share identical similarity scores, crypto-random selection, not human judgment, breaks the tie. No editorial hand on the scale. The vocabulary is constrained. The 4 FDR markers define the allowable word field. Consecrated enters the text because the priesthood marker demands it. Covenant treasury enters because covenant keeping demands it. Inheritance enters because the Dominion Triad demands it. If the math doesn't demand it, it doesn't appear. This is not AI-generated text. An AI model writes whatever it's prompted to write. The mathematical voice is constrained by statistical evidence. It can only say what the numbers allow. That's the difference between generation and governance. The mathematical voice edition is a prototype today, 10 verses across all 3 tiers. But the infrastructure is built. 32,356 verses in the UTV corpus, every one with its marker profile already computed. Scaling is a matter of processing, not of inventing. The question was never, what does Dallas James think the Bible says? The question is, when you strip away every human editorial preference and let the statistical structure of the text speak for itself, what voice emerges? The answer is the Dominion Triad. Identity, inheritance, priesthood, covenant faithfulness, sacred alignment. That's what the math found. That's what the math writes. I'm Dallas James, Hearts2Fathers Publishing. The Mathematical Voice Edition. When the numbers speak, listen.